When building or restoring a vehicle, things can get very expensive. Today we're gonna fabricate a patch panel that's relatively complicated for this 1959 Porsche 356A. That's a mouthful. This car was chemically stripped and we've been going through and repairing rust on it. Now, this side panel we're going to be making is kind of expensive if you buy it online, and both sides need addressed. So today we're gonna cover the full process from patterning to cutting the sheet metal to shaping it, bead rolling it, and then lastly fitting it to the vehicle. All right, so this panel is relatively complex. We have form, shape, and beads we had to put into it. So we have form going this way, but there's also shape going every which direction. Shape is defined as if your panel needs stretched or shrunk to get into the right shape. Whereas form is if you just kind of fold it and don't do any shrinking or stretching. If we're doing anything, we're gonna make a pattern, and I'm gonna do my favorite kind of pattern, which is a flexible tape pattern, and I'm gonna do it pretty quick. I did my first layer just adjacent, and now I'm doing perpendicular passes with a little bit of overlap, and then this will kind of help the tape adhere to itself and have a little bit more body to it. And I'm making sure to push it down into the different shapes for the beads. About to Flintstones this, put my leg down to the bottom, leg's cramping up. Ooh. That's it. That's the spot. The next step is to mark any features of the panel and also go through and mark the radii that go throughout the panel so we know what needs to be where. This is a radius gauge. As you can see, it's from tricktools.com. Now, every little radius on here is labeled, and you can hold it up to your panel and find what radius you need to replicate later. So what I'm going to do is find these angles, like this is a 12 right here because there's no light coming through, and I'm gonna mark the areas that have different radii. Radii is the plural of radius. In this video, I'm gonna get it right for once. Now, if you run into this problem where your gauge doesn't fit in there, you can use what's called a profile gauge instead. Did someone grab me a profile gauge? So this is a radius gauge. This is a profile gauge. What you can do is take your contour or profile gauge here, put it up against the body. Now I have the shape here that I was looking for. And then I can match it up to my radius gauge. So I'll put it behind here and double check. See, that is indeed a 12 right there. It's close enough to be a 12, so I'm gonna call it a 12. But the difference is it's a little bit spaced differently than the front edge. It actually only goes down to about here. So this is a 12, but only goes down to there. And then we have a shape here as well. Flat, and then our shape. So I gotta figure out what that shape is. Let's reset it. I would bet that's also a 12. No, it's not actually, maybe a 24. I'm gonna call it a 24. Yeah, it's about 24. That's 24 for sure. That's 24. Up to here is also 24. And then this is kind of whatever it is. We'll tweak that by hand afterwards to get it to fit. I'm gonna also cut this back just a little bit more. And then we get to pray that the actual pattern comes off the car, doesn't stick entirely and come apart. So you gotta make sure you have all the tape underneath. Now I know that the first layer of tape runs this way. So I want to peel that way. If I peel this way, I would risk every single layer delaminating. So that's a little trick. And voila, we have our pattern now. The best thing about a flexible tape pattern is that it retains the memory of the shape it was on. So later on when we're testing our panel, we can actually lay this across. And if there's wrinkles, I'll know that the shape is not correct. Let's see if I can get out of this jungle gym. If I had the Flintstones on my way out to the fab area. Oh Lord. I feel very 30 now. Usually I'd be like, you know, doing like a 360 no scope out on the car or something, whatever it is the kids are doing nowadays. Graceful. Very graceful. So now's the fun part where we take our pattern and turn it into metal. My favorite noise.
There it is.
I like to trace my pattern exactly first before I add anything else to it, so then I know where this locates on there. So you see I punched through the tape onto the panel itself. So that way to transfer the shape on there. Now I can just use a roller here and put my beads on it. Sir, this is a Wendy's. See, it's funny because I had Wendy's for lunch. With that Uncle Dave's crafted strawberry lemonade, this stuff slaps. Pay me, Wendy's. So when I oversize the panel here, so like my tape area, this is the extra oversize, that's called framing your panel. That's giving yourself extra room in case of shrink and stretch happening and it kind of pulling the panel in and it being too short at the end. You don't want that to happen. It's nice to have it all be one nice, neat panel. So you might be wondering to yourselves, why did Ryan only mark the radii going this direction and not this way? The simple answer is because I forgot. But the other answer is because there's other ways to get these radii as well. So what I'm going to use is a longer profile gauge here. I marked 2 different lines across here. We're going to eyeball cross, but then I can take this profile gauge, go to the end, get it to push down nicely there. And now I have the shape for that lower line. I can take the shape and I can cut out a piece of poster board and use it as a profile strip of sorts that I can then hold up to the panel. Or the alternative is, rather than marking it and saving the strips, I can just go back and forth, slap this on the car, slap it on the panel as I go. But it sounds like a lot of waste of time. Instead, I could just make these strips quick. Trace it. To the front of the car. I always put arrows on things I'm making that either point towards the front of the car or towards the top, or both sometimes. And then I know the orientation every single time. And this is something that I've done consistently throughout the past couple years of my life. So I know every single time on my patterns which way it goes on the vehicle. It gets sharper in the end. Same thing, it's softer. Then it gets a little sharper in the end, like right here. They both have a consistent part right here that kind of kicks in. It's right there, right there. It's about a 12. That's close. 24 is back here though. Yeah, it's a 24 back here. The upper is actually more like a 36. It's like straight to 36 to 24. So there's a lot of form this way it looks, with a little bit of stretch. And the lower, the 12 in the end. Right here's the 12. That's 24 through it. Okay. Look at that mess of...
A lot of 12s and 24s.
I know. It's like a battleship? I don't know. I can't think of any grid-based game that makes sense. Okay. Now is the fun part where we make it no longer flat. So what I'm going to start with is bending this over my knee to a 12 and bending across here to a 12. And then we'll have to add some more stretch then to get the rest of the curvature. So I think it's time to take it over to the old English knee. Which means take my phone out of my pocket before I crush it. The old English knee. Good start. Close enough. And then we need 12 this way. A little softer. That's not going to work there. That's a 12. So now we have to do some stretching. Now, we know the 36 this way, but a 24 that way, which means there's a little bit of form, but some stretch. So if I put a 24 die, yeah, I'm gonna put a 24 die in for all of this down here. Just gotta make sure I don't lose this here. And then we'll do a 12 across the top. So for the English wheel, we have our upper and lower anvils. The upper anvil on the wheel is flat, and then the lower has a different radii based off of what shape you want to make. So I have the 12 here, I have the 24 here, and I have a 36. I think I'm gonna start with the 12, work the top, then I'm gonna take a 24, work across this way, Then I'm gonna take a 36 and kind of wash out here. That needs to be washed out in this direction. And then that should get us pretty close. Ding ding. Dinner's ready.
You had a different idea.
Yeah, I was thinking dinner, you were thinking fight, but they're both correct in the situation. I'll allow both. That's a 24, all right. This is close. That way, not so much. Okay, so if I get in the window here, you can see that the panel is floating right here when I hold it flat against the top. That's because this all needs to be shrunk to bring it down in and have a wrap around. So that's gonna be our next move here. But we're getting close. Getting real close. Here. So there, it needs shrunk. I think we're gonna use the pull max for that. All right, so this is our Liebert shear we converted to be a pull max style reciprocating machine. So you'll see that when the machine's on, it goes up and down. These two dies, which are very dusty right now, these two dies go up and down, but they never fully collide. Now, when I feed metal through it, on the back here, you'll notice that it kind of forks it. So it'll make a fork and kind of fold the metal up. Then when I come back through again, it'll smash it together and thus shrink it and shrink the surface area of the metal. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it and you can kind of see it in action. It's a little loud, so I'm gonna put earmuffs on and we're gonna shake the building. Also, googly eyes come standard on our machines here. I was hoping that like when the machine ran, it would be like this a bunch, but it doesn't, unfortunately. Look at the mess we made. Nice piece of bacon, right? So I'm gonna take a mallet here. I'm just gonna tap this flat to get some of the wrinkles out of it. We're not worrying about the surface being all ripply and marred right now, because that'll come out in the wash later when we wash the panel. So now I tapped it kind of straight. To get rid of the rest of this, we're gonna use the kick shrinker. When using the Pullmax dies, it will ripple the edge of the panel a good bit because it kind of seems to struggle with getting the last little bit of stretch or shrink out. So using this machine helps a lot with kind of reconfiguring the panel there. All right, we got it roughed in there. Let's go see if it gets close. Don't mind the mountains. So what's underneath here, with this cut back and push down, I think we're pretty good. So now we gotta kind of clean up the rest up through here. And I think part of that's gonna be, this is a little too high there. Nice, I wanna clean that up a little bit here. What do you think, Logan? Which do you prefer, planching hammer or English wheel?
I don't know. People like to see the wheel, but we haven't used the hammer, so I don't know.
That's true, we haven't used it in this video yet, so
yeah.
We'll use the planching hammer this time. We don't have a 24 die. That's odd. Put it on the list, Logan. So this is a planching hammer. It's essentially an air hammer on a stand that you can put dies of different radii in the bottom, just like the English wheel, but instead of it being a mechanical movement of going back and forth to cause a stretch, it uses the air hammer to push against the metal and cause it to stretch. It's also extremely loud. I have the air hammer set pretty low because I don't really want to stretch this too much. I just want to kind of push the metal level. All right, now's the fun part where we put beads into a shaped panel.
A lot of fun parts to this.
Every part's fun, it's metal shaping. Metal shaping is fun, Logan. It's always a good idea when you have a panel made that you have to put details into to practice the details on a scrap piece of metal first, because you don't want to ruin the work you just did. Perfect, look at that. It's a little too big for the real one, but it's perfect for the practice one. I'm gonna practice on a flat piece first, because I want to get the die offset. What's up, the bead roller? So major rule with the bead roller is to always feed from the side you're looking at. Don't start on the other end and go towards yourself, because you won't be able to see it entering the machine, and it's gonna get all wavy on you. But instead, if you go from the side you're feeding, feed from the side you're looking at rather, you'll be able to actually see what's going on, and it'll work out better. didn't realize how slow I had it set just now. I'm going to put a little bit of shape in the panel, about the same shape as there, so it's mostly this way. And we're gonna try it again and see what it does with the shape in it. Okay, so we have my trial piece here. That was try number 1. You can see it was kind of eh. Here's try number 2, a lot better. And I also added a little bit of curve by hammering the back side. So now we get to do the real piece. Are you nervous, Logan?
Nope.
That's, should be nervous. I'm nervous. No, he says.
Isn't that the attitude we need?
It is the attitude we need. It's the attitude I want, it's the attitude I need, but it's not always the attitude I have. It's a little mangled, as expected, but we can rebuild him. We do have the technology. It's very flat through here, but we'll fix that. I think that's pretty close. Getting there anyway. This is off, has to be up there, but I can fix that pretty easily. Might need a little more curve there. I'm not sure on that. Getting close. Can I hammer and dolly now to clean up the inside? If it all pushed down, that seems pretty good, if I do say so myself. Yeah, all right, now to wrap this up, I'm just gonna hit it with some 80 grit and a DA, clean it up a little bit. Again, this is a structural panel that's not gonna be seeing any daylight ever, so we're not gonna spend a ton of time on it, but your work is your signature, so you should still make it look nice, right? Certainly not my prettiest panel, but it is indeed functional, which is what's really important here, isn't it? Let's go fit her up. So the panel is installed right now, aka I just have it set in here and Clecoed in place to locate it. It's overlapping the original sheet metal, and there's things that need to be trimmed so it fits very nicely, but that's work for later because right now the goal was just to make this piece so that work can continue on the car, and then when it's ready to be welded in, it'll be welded in, but it's not gonna be welded in quite yet. So let us know down in the comments if this video helped you at all in any way. Also, you can just let us know what project you're working on because we just love hearing about people's projects. So take what you learned in this video from your tape pattern, through cutting out the sheet metal, shaping it if you're gonna do any bead rolling, and try to apply it in your own projects. Drop a like on this video because it helps us out a lot with our growth, and catch you guys later. See ya.